All right. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to what is going to be a really fun night. I am so excited to be here. We are so excited to be here. And we are so happy here at Out of the Park Developments to officially announce Franchise Hockey Manager 5. You just saw the opening trailer for the game. I am your host for tonight, Rich Grisham. Very happy to be here. And I'm really excited to have your two normal, regularly scheduled hosts with us. But they just get to talk all about the game. Up first, we have, of course, the producer of Franchise Hockey Manager 5, Mr. Jeff Riddles. Jeff, how are you tonight, sir?
A little tired, but I'm hanging in there, Rich.
Well, it's good to have you here. And, of course, the community manager for the Franchise Hockey Manager platform, Mr. Adam Burnett. How are you, sir?
Doing pretty good, Rich. Happy to be here.
So let's just get right into it. Franchise Hockey Manager 5 from Out of the Park Developments. It is officially announced today. It is actually releasing live worldwide on Friday, October 5th. However, if you want to pre-order it, and today you can get it 4 days early in early access and get 10% off. So it's a great time now because it's coming out real soon. And you can get it for a discount and get it early. But it does launch worldwide on October 5th. Franchise Hockey Manager 5, of course, you can get it on Steam. And you can get it directly from us at Out of the Park Developments. And again, Franchise Hockey Manager 5, the biggest, the best version of Franchise Hockey Manager yet. And that's saying something. Lots to talk about tonight. We're going to walk you through what it's all about, the themes, and some of the cool stuff. We're going to show you some screens of what it looks like. And you're going to get a little bit of live gameplay too as well. So there's all sorts of great stuff going on. So let's just start right at the top. Jeff, let's talk features, and specifically features as we saw in the trailer. Let's talk tactics. This is a big deal to the core players of the game in particular, but obviously is a big part of the game overall. What's different and interesting this year?
Well, let me just sort of walk you through that. You can see I've switched to this is your first look at the in-game of the new FHM 5. You see the line screen doesn't look too much different from last year. One thing you might notice is that we've gone down to only one role per player now. They're not separated into offensive or defensive roles. So it's streamlined, simplified a little bit, and it's a little easier to understand how you want a particular player to be playing. From there, once so there you've got your usual line screen, but the tactics screen is quite a bit different now. You can see we've got some of the old global settings. A few of those are still as they were, but it's just really the line matching and the zone priority for face-offs. Now that hasn't changed too much, but what has changed is the three tabs up here, global, unit, and player, and that lets you set your tactics either at a very high level or at increasing levels of detail depending on what your preference is. So you can see it on the global screen I'm on right now. I've got all the general approach I can set up. I'm playing as a Canucks, of course, and I can choose whether I want them to be a little more offensive oriented or defensive oriented, or a little more hard hitting or less. That's just sort of a general overall approach. But then I can get into the specifics of the different things they're going to be doing in each zone. So that you can see in the first three things I'm circling right here are the offensive plays that you are in formations that you can use. One for breaking out, one once you're in your neutral zone, and then once you go into the offensive zone. So you can switch between different options here. We'll probably be adding a little more information on each one does when you see the release version of the game. I got to say this is still, I'm looking at the development version still, so this isn't necessarily exactly as you're going to see it next week. Then a little farther down, you've got the defensive options, which correspond to each of those. Your forechecking, your neutral zone coverage, and your defensive zone coverage. Then the power play and shorthanded, the special teams options are over on the right side. But you've also got smaller tendencies at the bottom, just to sort of give your team the general approach of what you're going to be doing. If you're all out attacking, if you want to be a little more aggressive, your back checking approach. So it sort of adds a little bit of shading, flavor, if you want to call it that, to the individual tactics you use in each zone. Now, you're setting all of this at the global level here. You can stop right here. You don't have to do anything else if you don't want to. Or you can go down to the unit level, and what you can do here is select every line. And if you don't want to change anything here, that's fine. You can leave it as it is. But if I click on Use Settings, then I can switch up what the individual line is doing. So you can customize any of your lines all the way down through the special teams lines, 3-on-3, 4-on-4. You can say I want to have my checking line play a little more aggressively. Click on Use there, click it up to Intense, and they're going to start hitting a little bit more. And you get a little bit of an indication here of how good they are, how good each line is relatively at each area of the game. And again, I could stop here if I want, if I just want to have a few lines set up specially, or I can keep going down a little further and go right down to the player level. Here you can't change the individual tactic at this level because it doesn't really make sense to have one player doing one type of tactic and another player on the same line doing something entirely different. But you can change their individual instructions. Let's say I want Bo Horvat. Selected him. If I want him to be a little bit more aggressive, and let's see, play at a little higher tempo, I can just set him separately from the rest of his line, and that allows me to fine-tune it even a little bit more. And you've also got the option, you can set this in a couple of places, but you can choose his roles from here as well. So the general idea is you've got variable levels of control. You can get as deep as you want to, but it's all still pretty streamlined, and it lets you accomplish some of the things that you could last year that were a little more complicated to do, in a little way that's a bit easier to understand. And you can do that, and it's easier to make changes from game to game too this way, and you can also do this within an individual game. If something isn't working and you want to change up your approach a little bit.
Nice. Now this looks great, and this is a big deal, Adam. I mean, this applies quite a bit to you, obviously, with what you do. Talk to me about your thoughts on the tactics, and maybe even sort of some thoughts you're having about how you might sort of set these up for your next streaming franchise on our Twitch and YouTube channels.
It's something I've definitely been thinking about a lot as we continue to move very quickly to the FHM 5 release. As you know, we've been playing one of our longest franchise hockey manager games has been this Florida Panthers one, and I'm kind of still really invested in it, and I hate to let it go. But it's time to try something new. And honestly, what I have decided yet is I haven't decided. There's too many choices, and I know part of me would love to try and play as the Jets and try and win, and maybe try and take somebody else's favorite team like the New Jersey Devils and actually make them competitive. And
I'm listening. See
if they win.
I think that was a shot, Rich.
Hey, look, we have the MVP and we made the playoffs, and we're even better this year. I'm very happy about where my franchise is right now. Go Devils.
Yeah, so we got a couple ideas. As for the tactics, I'm still myself. I've put in about 150 hours into the beta, doing a lot of different testing, and still learning more and finding more fun ways to try and improve my team. I think that's kind of the biggest thing.
Nice. Yeah, I'm excited too because let's face it, my Devils have not been good for several years until last year. And, whenever your team is good, it's just you're a little more interested in doing these kind of things. So I am definitely going to be running with my New Jersey Devils. I'm going to see what I can do. Now, again, I'm not necessarily in position to help them. I'm going to be asking you a lot of questions. I'm going to need a lot of your support to make it happen, but I'm looking forward to doing that. Excellent. Well, it's already been obvious to a lot of people who are watching live right here. Up next is a new interface. Jeff, this is not like a complete overhaul, but there's clearly a targeted effort, even alluded to it earlier, to make certain things easier, more streamlined, and in some cases, with new features, even possible. So what are some of the examples you have of the updated user interface?
Yeah, okay, I'm going to stay in this save here. I've got 2 or 3 different saves I'll be showing you guys as we go through this, but you can see the most obvious thing that you're going to notice is new is we borrowed this from Out of the Park Baseball. We now have the side menus, the tiny little Canuck and NHL logos there. You can see the league menu here, And then the team
It looks
menu
so
here,
good. I love that.
Yeah.
I love the little logo. Those are awesome.
That was my idea. We actually just did that today. We had abbreviations in there and they weren't working so well, so I said put the logo in, and there we go.
Great idea. I'm in full support of that.
Yeah, that's basically just replicating some of the stuff from the drop-down menu at the top, which we've swapped the order around a little bit on those, so it's a little easier to use. You're not scrolling all the way across the screen quite as much, and things that are used a little less, like the world tournaments, international tournaments, are a little over farther to the left, and not getting in your way, well, for the most part. And then we've also board one other thing we've got is the player search. If I can, there we go, clicked on it, and you can just go in, and if you want to find a particular player, there we go, Sidney Crosby. And that's a little fast. I mean, we did have something similar before, but that top menu makes it a little bit easier to use. Let's see, what else have we got new here? You can see the layout of the team menus is a little different now. It's still basically the same functionality, just organized a little bit better, a little easier to read, and a little prettier. Got nice colors on it. Let's see, I should show you some of the individual player screens. Let's open up Horvat here. And I think this screen is generally fairly similar to what you had last year, although there's been a few new things added to it. You can see got languages the player speaks have been added down there. I'm trying to remember there's one other thing on the screen that I want to show you. You can see if his father played in the NHL or is at least in the database, you can see that, or if he's has a son playing in the league, that'll usually only show up for a retired player. Still got the player pictures, face gen at the top, not the real player pictures, but the facsimile of them, although you can still get, I'm sure people will do custom face gens that will let you get something that looks a little bit more like the actual player in there. The rating screen, add a little bit to this. The player roles, which you saw on the tactics screen earlier, are all listed here now and giving you a little bit more of an indication of how good each player is at each type of role. So the rating in there, and that is relatively similar. I think the other player screens, I think there's a couple of new stats categories that we've added. You'll see those, well, there won't be anything yet because I haven't started the game, but they are in there. What else have I done? The international, been adding this in the last little while. You can see the way the international menu works now. You select your tournament, and what we didn't have before, you could only see, all you would really see if the tournament wasn't going was the standing screen. Now we've got, even before you've played any international tournaments, we've got the back history for everything. So you can see the Miracle on Ice in 1980, the States, and the Canadian gold medals, and then quote-unquote Russia and Korea last year.
Fantastic.
And similar to that, we got you can look it up for the same team, same thing for international, each international team, their overall history. And the other thing we've done, I want to look at the league history, and I'm not sure this is going to show up complete here because I just was looking. Oh, it looks like it did. A couple of stats missing, but that's about it. And you can see you've got the whole NHL prior awards history. We're in the process of adding that for other leagues right now, but the NHL should be pretty much complete.
Love it. Good stuff. Adam, you've been at this, as you said, for over 150 hours, for crying out loud. You know, obviously the things have been getting built and put together, but talk to us about.
I forgot to mention one thing, Rich. Should mention that before we go on. Wait, I got to find it here. I know people have been asking for a little better way of understanding where your team is in the playoffs, and we've added the wild card view to the standings. Forgot to mention that, so that's a little easier.
Gotcha.
If you're in a league that uses that system.
Adam, talk to us. What do you like about the interface? What makes your life easier?
You know, as Jeff mentioned before, it's just more streamlined. The fact that I've, you know, playing out of the park baseball, I do enjoy the drop down boxes, and that was something great for us to come in and just to be able to have access to, you know, using those side menu options, being able to click on them and bring up stuff really quickly is very helpful and should be very good for us streaming as well.
Yeah,
there is no doubt about that.
And I'm just waiting for another version of the game to load here. I think Rich, well, Rich knows what's coming, so he can ask me about it.
Yep. So, and as you said, so yeah, I'm a history guy, right? So I love, you know, any sports video game that offers history, and, you know, between Franchise Hockey Manager and Out of the Park Baseball, yeah, I'm a little biased, but they offer more history than any other sports, than the entire rest of the sports video game world combined. It's pretty big. But one of the nifty little features, new features, is random debuts. I think this is really cool. Jeff, can we get our first ever look at a little bit of that, the random debut?
Yeah, we can. This has been a popular feature for Out of the Park for a few years, so we've definitely had some requests for it. So it is in now, and what I'm showing you here is a game. I started this in 1917 and it's all the way up to January of 1975 now. It's the NHL with totally randomized debuts. The players, it'll take every player in the database, thousands of them in the historical one, and shuffle them around and start them in a completely new year. They might wind up with the same year, but most of the time guys wind up going all over the place. And let's take a look at the mid-1975 Leafs here, and lo and behold, I didn't set this up. This is just the way it turned out. I happened to get Wayne Gretzky in Toronto. And he's pretty much in his prime there, 27 years old. He's just, yeah.
Wow.
So, and the thing is, it's not enough to have him on the Leafs. They've gotten really lucky, and they wound up with Joe Sakic as well. Also pretty close to his prime. Vladimir Konstantinov as well, Ed Jovanovski. Guys from all over the history of hockey. Tiny Thompson, Bruins goalie from the 1920s, is actually their starting goalie. So I know if he's wearing the old catcher-style mask from the 20s, or if they actually give him modern equipment in this, or at least as modern as there was in the 70s. And you can see some other guys from, you know, Don Marcotte, Bob Daly, Rajan Houle are actually from that era, but it's completely randomized. Mike Danton, we'll leave that one alone. And you know, John Cullen, you can see he's a little past his prime there. It's actually a fairly young team, but the Leafs, not surprisingly, with this lineup, are doing really well. 24-10-1. I think they're in first place in the league.
Yep, lost 10.
Just well, the second place team though, there is Vancouver with Martin Brodeur in goal and Doug Gilmour playing center field.
That you're going to win a lot of games with the best goaltender of all time, my friend.
No, I didn't say Dominic Hasek. I said Martin Brodeur. You're confused, Rich.
Not at all. Not at all. I am not confused. All right, Adam, another big deal. We know, and this is in the trailer, and people have been asking about it during the stream. We know that online leagues are a big deal, and they are back. This is important to a lot of people in the community. It's obviously important to us, as you know better than everyone, being the community manager. You've been having conversations with our community about this for years. The biggest question I hear about online leagues is it like Out of the Park Baseball's online leagues? I think the answer is yes. Am I right?
Yeah, we have wanted to bring back online leagues, but we wanted to do it right. And one of the most important things we did was reach out to several communities of players who are still, in fact, playing Franchise Hockey Manager 2, which is the last time we had online in, and ask them to be a part of our internal beta so that they can test the features and see what they like or what we could improve for our full release on October 5th. And we've gotten some really good feedback so far. And so we're continuing to work and build on that so that it's an enjoyable experience for everyone.
Very good. So can you give a little bit of sort of how it's going to work? I mean, you know, we don't need to go super deep into the weeds, but, you know, just sort of what's the overall process look like?
Well, one person will be controlling the league as your commissioner. And from there, they can set up the game. It gives an option right away to starting off through online league. And the way how we've set it up as you can export your team or basically send your part of your save file you need to an FTP to allow easy access for the sharing of files.
Yep.
Jeff, you want to add anything?
Yeah,
more?
I'll be showing this in a second. The save is just a little slow coming up, so I'm sitting on this screenshot right now. You can see that's the ad manager screen, so you can see how you can, if you want, you don't even have to actually be playing in a multiplayer league to do this. If you want to control, if you want to have 10 separate managers running teams in your game and control all of them by yourself, or even set it up so,
or if you want to
literally every team in the league, if you want to manage them all yourself. And we've had requests before, you can do that using the multiplayer mode. And I think I'm almost there. There we go. I need to get a solid state drive badly. Okay. There we go, and we are back to a modern game. And let me just show you the online league. You can see the new options there, and also if you go into setup options, this league isn't an online league at the moment. If I wanted to, I can just click on it and it will be converted automatically to an online league. And you can see all the various, and if you're that interested in it, you can go back and watch this later and take a look through all the options on there. But it's basically identical to the or at least highly similar to the way online leagues and out of the park baseball work. You've got the central commissioner, and
yep,
he handles the files. I mean, games, you send all the instructions to him and make your player moves, whatnot. And you can do it with 2 people. You can do it with 30 people. You can do it with more than that if you want.
And what are the advancement options look like? Like what are the per each advance?
So you cut out there, Rich. What are the what?
I'm sorry. What are the timeframes for each advance?
That's I can't remember how they've got that set up at the moment. Actually, Sebastian's been doing that. I think. Is that configurable? No, it isn't configurable right now. I think it's going week to week.
Right.
Don't quote me on that one. Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're gonna change that to well, out of the park you can vary it. I don't think it doesn't work that well in hockey. Out of the park it's a little easier because baseball's got that series format.
Correct.
Which hockey doesn't.
Nope.
And
cool.
That makes it a little more confusing for the schedule.
Right. Well, good stuff. This is something that we've been wanting to put back into the game for years, and we had some other stuff. Jeff and the development team and have wanted to do this for years, but there were some other things that needed to happen as we're building out this platform. So we're all very happy about the inclusion of online leagues. Really good stuff. Another new feature this year is some updated in-game graphics, right? So we've been sort of looking at a lot of the management features, but of course there's the playing the games too. And it's also something we've wanted to do for a while. Again, we're not talking about major overhauls here, but we are talking about targeted improvements. Jeff, what are some interesting notes about the in-game graphics?
Well, easiest way to show that is just to start it up and give you guys a quick look at what it does. What it looks like now. It's changed quite a bit. We've actually added some things to it very recently. So let's watch Montreal-Toronto game. Start of the season. The pregame screen is pretty much as it was before. Hasn't been much changed there. But once I get into the in-game screen, and let me make sure I've got the options set up. And yeah, sound muted. I don't want to deafen everybody. Adam and I learned that the hard way last year. And you can see we've rearranged the screen a bit. The background picture isn't as prominent, and obviously, yeah, I got one right away. Thank you, Carl Alsner, who takes a boarding penalty 26 seconds into the game. We've got these pop-ups now when announcing things like penalties, goals, injuries in a little more visually appealing way. You can see the current line is displayed over on the side. That we had a little trouble showing that last year. And a lot of the old options are still there. You can go into the box score, which will show shot location and so on. And I've got this on really high speed right now. And I'll just run this along here a little bit, and you can hopefully see we get a goal or something, and you can see a couple of pop-ups that came out that will come up. And I'm hoping to get a goal, because if it does, it will. Oh, there we go. We got the I've got on the. This is actually the mode I've got in right now. It'll only pop up the arena display when a goal is when there's something about to happen. So Duran gets the goal, Alsner and Domi the assists. And, oh, that's right, I was going to say, I was expecting something to come up here, but I forgot you need to be playing as one of the teams to get anything in the assistant feedback box. That will tell you what the other team is doing at the moment and various other informational messages about your team. I'm just viewing this game, so I can't actually see that now. But there's, well, if I was actually playing as one of these teams, you'd be seeing a little bit more going on, and all the options I would have. I could get into the line screen and change things up, my play strategy and so on. So there's a little bit more than you can see in a game like this. But I'm just going to wind this game up here, see who winds up winning. And as always, you can sim right to the end if you want. And then the usual post-game screen. And box score, Montreal won 4-3 in overtime, looks like. Overtime? Or shootout? Nope, Pukanic. 2 minutes left to go.
Nice. Very good.
And that's that's a very quick view of what the in-game screen, what the changes have happened there. You can get a lot more of that. Hopefully, I think Adam is planning on doing some streaming this week, or I guess at some point before release. So if you want to come back on here, you'll be able to see him doing that.
Excellent.
Oh, there will be lots of streaming, Jeff.
Okay.
Lots.
Don't expect to see much of me on it, but I'm sure you will.
I'm sure you won't have that many hundreds of things that you're going to want to be doing, the week of release or in beta or anything like that, right, Jeff?
No, not at all. Sleep? What
This
sleep?
is great. This is great stuff. Something else I love about all of our games at Out of the Park Developments is customization. Now, obviously, one of the great things about Franchise Hockey Manager is it's licensed by the NHL, and there's all the NHL, the teams, the leagues, the season, the awards, and things like that. But people also love to tinker. Jeff, what are some of the new customization options that we're offering this year in Franchise Hockey Manager 5?
We've got quite a few of them. Some things that have been requested for a while, and I've got one more save here. I'm waiting to load up here, and it seems to be going slower with every one. As my system grinds away here, we'll get that in a second. And I've just got another game view showing here. You can see in this one in the thing in the view that's on the screen now that this is, I think, a game with Sebastian. Took this screenshot in as he was playing as the Hawks, and it's giving him a little bit information about what Nashville's doing, but you get other more useful stuff as the game is ongoing. What line is going out next, I think, is one of them, and what changes the other team has made recently. It gives you a lot of useful information now, and we're going to add to it, I think. And almost through to the, come on. There we go. Okay, this is the last save I wanted to show you. Let me get over to that. And you can see now, note the date on this, July 1st, 2018, which shouldn't normally be possible. And this is a modern start. This isn't a historical start. Normally you would start the season somewhere in, well, depending on what options you chose to start it with, August at the earliest, or possibly September. We've got a new option this year. You can begin on July the 1st. Go right back to the the beginning of a new year, at least in FHM terms. And since you are going back to July the 1st, you can, since I have turned, let me show you, got commissioner mode on in the manager menu. I can go to the NHL. I can go to the edit screen. And hey, what's this? Well, for one thing I could do here, if I wanted to, would be expand the league immediately. I want to put a team in Seattle in. I can do it right at the start of the first season. But I think this will be of interest to more people. The structure menu. And if you look down here carefully, you can see, hey, the Winnipeg Jets are in the Pacific Conference, and the Vegas Golden Knights are in the Central Conference, or Central Division rather. So I've already switched them around, but let's say I wanted to move them back now. Very easy. Click on that. Send the Jets back to the Central. Oops, screen scrolled on me there. Back down to it. and maybe maybe want to put Colorado in the Pacific. So yes, I can. You can do all sorts of things with the league structure now. I could chop out divisions or conferences, add more divisions.
This is great.
Yeah,
I love this.
This has been requested a lot. And you can also see here, I'm not going to click on it right now because I don't want to sit and wait for it to generate the schedule, and there's no need to because I think I've moved everything back. But when if you start removing teams or adding teams or expanding before the start of the season, that's obviously there's going to be a need for a new schedule to account for that. And you can auto-generate a schedule now. So just click on that. It'll give you a new schedule.
Jeff.
Adam?
Point out in the chat, Radcast, who comes to most of our streams, is happy he can finally take out the Canucks.
I did laugh when I saw that.
I love you too, Radcast. Thank you so much. And okay, was there any? Oh, another thing I was gonna. Well, I can't actually show it here. It's not part of the. Since I'm only looking at NHL or at a modern format league here. If I had started a custom game. We've had quite a few requests for this before. You can customize the nationality composition of the league now. So if you want a league of nothing but players from Kazakhstan, you can have that. You don't, even if you set them up in some other country, you can have 100% Kazakhs. Or actually, no. There's I think you will always get a random number of other players. But if you want to have most of the league from Kazakhstan or Bhutan or Singapore or wherever you can think of, you've got 100% control, or something close to 100% control over the nationality of the players you start with and the players that that are entering the game. Because we've had a lot of requests for that before. People want more customization there, so it is going to be like that now. So trust me, can't show it to you right now, but it's definitely there, and we've definitely been testing it and experimenting with that.
That's a very specific reference to Kazakhstan. Like I could have, if you'd said Finland, right, or Canada, or something like that.
They're not a bad hockey country. They got lots of Russians left over from the Soviet days.
They're bad. They're just specific. That's all. So that's good stuff.
You're leading up to a Borat joke here, aren't you?
No, definitely not. Absolutely, positively not. No doubt. So, Adam, this customization opens up a lot of different options for you. So, what sort of unique things are you thinking about with this? Again, typically not just for not just for the stream, but obviously a lot of the stuff that you'd be doing would be during our streams during the year of Franchise Hockey Manager 5.
Righting wrongs. As anybody who follows us, that's and our franchise hockey or .com/franchise hockey manager.
I think you're cutting out a little, Rich.
Because
Rich, is he cutting out on you too? Yeah,
he is, unfortunately.
Okay, well.
Yeah. Okay, hold on. Come back to me.
Okay. Actually, you sounded clear there.
Yeah.
But I am just going to show a few screenshots as we're getting near the end here. One thing that I haven't talked about yet, one more thing we've taken from Out of the Park Baseball is the team chemistry screen. The players have individual personalities now, and you can see in this screenshot everybody on Tampa is relatively happy, although the Coach Cooper doesn't have a great relationship with either of his goalies at the moment for some reason. But then you can see the different players are in different personality classes, and there will be the players may not get along with each other. They'll start to complain about each other, and you'll get reports on that through the season. There are also other things we can do with that, like hook it into the in-game event, event system, and have all sorts of interesting little storylines going on that involve this type of thing.
Fantastic. I love it. This is great stuff. So as we do wrap up our introduction and announcement of Franchise Hockey Manager 5, which, by the way, I will say can be pre-ordered right now from our website at OOTPdevelopments.com. If you pre-order it right now, not only do you get 10% off, but you get it 4 days early on October 1st. It launches worldwide on October 5th. You can also pre-order on Steam, but you won't be able to play it 4 days early. So just that's a Steam sort of a way it's set up. No big deal to us, but we just want to make sure that you know that. If you want to play it early on October 1st, you got to get it through us at OOTPdevelopments.com. We would really appreciate that. So Jeff, before we get out of here, I want to know, and we've talked about a lot of good stuff tonight. What 2 or 3 things, new features, or whether just enjoying the latest, greatest version of the game, are you looking forward to most this year?
The random debut thing is, I think, going to be really interesting. I'm looking forward to see what crazy combinations people wind up getting and how they work out, and how different players will play in different eras and different combination of players will work. It's been really, so we've had some fun things show up so far. I showed you one of them with the Gretzky on the Leafs thing, of the different teammates. The mod stuff too. We'll see what people can do, creating different structures for the modern NHL or their own custom leagues. And the other thing, nobody is going to care about this one, but I'm inordinately proud of the way I've been able to use our agreement with Elite Prospects to start getting a little more information into our databases about stuff like the international tournament history, and this is going to be something we've been so busy right now that I've got a bit of a backlog of stuff that I wanted to get added, but you're going to be seeing a lot more player stats, historical stats, and one thing that's I should mention is in now that we haven't had college hockey history. If you see a player like Brock Besser, you wouldn't have his North Dakota history or anything. That's in there now. And I'm working on adding the Junior A stuff, so database, the back end of it is going to get a lot more complete. It's going to get better and better. Good
stuff. Adam, do we have you back?
Yeah, I'm back.
Awesome.
I need to stop trying to multitask.
Yeah, uploading trailers can be tough when you're also trying to talk. So, same question to you, Adam. What couple, 2 or 3 things, again, whether it's one of the new features or just enjoying the best, latest and best version of our franchise hockey manager platform, are you looking forward to most this year?
You know what? I spent a lot of time in our regular mode playing into the future and seeing what the future holds. But I think I'm ready to go back to the past. As Jeff was talking about earlier, the random debuts is something that's just kind of makes me smile every time we talk about it and see the hilarious combinations of, for instance, in one game I just started today, there's a goalie from the 1930s playing in 1997 with guys from kind of all over. So I'm just picturing a guy without a mask and tiny pads taking slap shots at 95 miles an hour from Al McInnes, which, just makes me chuckle. And I'm really excited to jump into the idea of getting together with a few friends and playing some online leagues and proving that I am a better GM than them. And actually, too, one of the most important things is I feel that this is finally going to be our year. We are finally going to win a Stanley Cup on the stream. I think we can do it, Jeff.
I won a Memorial Cup last year, so I got mine in. I know what your problem is.
That's true. You guys can do it. I know you can. I absolutely know you can. That's one of my favorite things about the streams is, between you and obviously TJ and Chris on the Out of Park, like win or lose, it's all out there. Like there's no guarantee of winning. I've watched you guys win and lose in heartbreaking fashion and in amazing fashion. It's great. I love it. Fantastic. Well, okay, Jeff. Before we get out of here, any last minute thoughts? Anything you wanted to mention right before we call it an announcement night?
Not right now. I think we'll get anybody who hasn't had a chance to see didn't see the trailer on the way in. We'll play that again one more time on the way out. But I think we can wrap it up here, as I've got to get back to work. It's really busy right now. Yeah.
You got a video game to ship.
I got another deadline about 3 hours from now, so I got to get that going as soon as I finish with this.
All right. So thank you, everybody.
Actually, good point. We should probably have a quick look through the user questions we've had. Ratcast, you're asking about the fantasy draft for random debut. Yeah, you can start with that, just the same as a regular historical game. Sim Engine. We've been working a lot in the last few days about with player development, fine-tuning that a bit. We did, no, I didn't even mention this, we completely reworked the way the player potential and current value of the star ratings, that's calculated. That's a lot different now, so you're going to see some differences in the way that shows up in the game. Generally, players will have a little bit more, appear to have there'll be a little bit more uncertainty. You're going to see more high potential rated players, but not as many of them are going to get up to that potential. So we're still fine-tuning that. That's a little difficult to say too much on right now, but it's headed in a good direction, I think. Don't think there was anything. Oh, the dark mode dark mode user interface. Not. I don't think we've got anything in that area right now. As I know, Out of the Park has done something like that, haven't they? Baseball game has. I can't remember.
Yes.
Sure. Yeah, I think that may be something we can add in at some point. I'm gonna have to ask the developer, Sebastian about that, and see if it's something we can possibly do.
Yeah, just one more. CS High 312 in the chat just asked at the end, fictional logos added. I'm not really sure, but again, our modding community is pretty good about adding logos, including somebody I know in this very group has a logo pack of 300 and some logos you can use and put into your games.
Good deal. And we will be answering a whole lot more questions over the next week or two. You know, the best way to get your questions answered is to either reach out to us on Twitter or Facebook. Obviously, we do that all the time. We have our forums at ootpdevelopments.com. I got to give huge shout out to the entire Franchise Hockey Manager team. Obviously, Adam and Jeff for being, you know, the front of it, but obviously Sebastian and Multi and Marcus and Andreas, and I know I'm leaving out lots and lots of people. I shouldn't have just randomly started talking about all the guys, because unfortunately that means you leave out a name or two. But these guys have been really putting everything they have into this game this year. And, you know, for those of you who are fans of video games, and you all here, you know, you guys know what's happening out in the world of games, right? It's not easy to make video games. It's not necessarily even, you know, possible to make video games sometime. And we're so happy that we're able to do this. And we thank you so much for supporting Out of the Park Development, for supporting the Franchise Hockey Manager franchise, for supporting Out of the Park Baseball and MLB Manager. Thank you guys so much for coming in tonight. We had an amazing group of people here. So many people. It was a lot more fun. Just wonderful. So, but right before we sign off, Adam, you just mentioned it. You said we've even added one more thing. So do our mic drop. Oh yeah, one more thing. What do you have to tell everybody about?
I was just mentioning in the chat, we've added a bunch of new storylines as well, including some more I just gave to Jeff today about, you know, mascots that apparently are in the news as of late, which...
Everybody is tired.
I still don't know if they're trolling me. I don't know if they're trolling me. I haven't figured that out yet.
So there's so we got some more storylines, and I mean, some of them we've talked about that have been coming, and I had a lot of fun writing some new ones about that might crash and burn some prospects for you, or that might make them even better. So.
I should say I'm not actually sure if Adam's stuff is going to make it into the game in time for the release, but we'll always be doing the updates and adding more stuff as we in with each of those. So you'll probably see it at some point.
Fantastic. All right. So one more time before we let everybody get it. Franchise Hockey Manager 5 available worldwide October 5th. That's a week from Friday. But if you pre-order it from OOTPdevelopments.com, you get it on October 1st early, and you get 10% off. Can't beat it. If you want to pre-order it on Steam, you can go ahead and do that. Unfortunately, just because of the way Steam works, there are great partners. It's not a complaint. Just things work a little differently over there. You wouldn't be able to play it until the 5th. But you can still pre-order it, and you'll be able to get the 10% discount on Steam, or I believe the first week after it's officially released as well. So, you know, that's the situation. And once again, thank you everybody for coming out. This has been an absolute blast. We appreciate it. Thank you, Jeff, for all that you did to help make this game what it is, which is our best version ever. Thank you for coming on tonight. Adam, thank you for continuing to be such a fantastic community manager for the Franchise Hockey Manager universe. And thank you everybody who joined us tonight on the stream, and thank you everybody who's watching this on YouTube. And talk to us in the forums, talk to us on Twitter, talk to us on Facebook, talk to us on Discord, talk to us everywhere. We're excited, and we can't wait for you to play Franchise Hockey Manager 5. On behalf of everybody out of the Park Developments, I'm Rich Grisham. Thank you, guys. Have a good night. We'll talk to you real soon.
Yeah, we'll give you one last look at the trailer if you missed out on the way in.